continuing along this client interview path, Mike, Gino, and I are very pleased to greet Chris and Barb Kiazyk onto our virtual stage. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Chris and Barb, you've been working with CDSPI and Cumberland almost since the very, very beginning. How long has it been? And really, what prompted you to work with us?
Well, I think we were in, is it 2009 or 2010? I was a mentor at, for the Manitoba Dental Association. We have a mentorship program with the Faculty of Dentistry at the University of Manitoba. And one of the reps from CDSPI, Debbie Okamoto, was doing a presentation for the students that evening. And I was there present because it was a sort of a introduction of us mentors to the students. I heard her presentation. Afterwards, I talked with her, and I was kind of, well, coming out of that 2008, 2009, my investments weren't looking too hot. So I decided that I would chat with her about it. And I was kind of looking for a little bit of something different. And she recommended, she said, well, you might want to talk to Cumberland. It sounds like you have all of the boxes ticked off to talk with them. She's all set up an appointment with you and Gino. And so we hit it off, and that's how we got into it.
That's great. We appreciate the beginning, and very, very pleased to let you know Debbie's still with us. So that continues on in tradition. It's great. Thank you for that.
If you want to reach out and contact her and say hello, but if I don't, say hello for me.
We will. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Appreciate that. So moving along, how has Cumberland Gino evolved with respect to the length of time that Chris and Barb have been part of the program?
Yeah, that's a great question, because Chris and Barb have seen a lot of evolution in Cumberland. One of the biggest things is that our relationship with CDSPI has evolved through that, because we've become more and more a part of the high net worth solution and getting to really understand dentists, their needs, working with the CDSPI advisors and their concerns and what they're looking for in a partner. And so, if you recall, Chris and Barb, when we first started, we were a North American mandate. And we evolved more into a global, international firm with rejigging our investment strategy, bringing in a more robust investment firm. And today we've got global capabilities. We've got analysts who will go out and scour the markets. We've tightened up our investment discipline and process through a stringent scoring system, and brought on more capabilities on the investment side as well. So you've watched us grow essentially into a bigger mandate.
Mm-hmm. Great, thanks for that explanation, Gino. So, Mike, we don't want to be shy. We'll bring you into the fold here. So, Mike, with respect to yourself, your approach with Chris and Barb over the years, how have you been working with them specifically?
Well, as we've discussed in these previous interviews, I mean, I really view my role first and foremost as a financial planner. And I think just one of the great things about working with Chris and Barb is just how prepared they are. When it comes to long-term planning, they're so fantastic because they're already thinking about these same long-term concepts that I would want to bring up with them. I mean, I think from our very first meeting, right, financial planning came up. And, at that time it was, putting together a plan for Chris's transition from dentistry into retirement. And, every meeting, it seems like they come prepared with questions or ideas on how to maximize their retirement income, or lately focusing on ways to preserve and build a legacy for their kids and their grandkids. And, I find meetings with Chris and Barb so unique because he always comes prepared with these ideas that he wants to implement. It's fantastic. He's got a plan in place years down the road, which is a financial planner's dream, really. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better couple to work with because they come prepared, and you can tell that they put a lot of work and they put a lot of time and effort into these things. And it's such a unique and collaborative partnership because we can draw on our expertise, we can draw on our partners to make sure that these plans that they have thought out, to the very last detail, to make sure we can execute them as efficiently as possible, and help to ensure that Chris and Barb, meet all their needs.
Great, prepared and thorough. I love it, Chris and Barb. That's exactly how this interview started. So look forward to more discovery here. So let me bring you back into the fold here. So I understand Gino set up an actual meeting with an estate specialist to review your actual estate plan. What value did you get out of that process?
Quite a lot. We have a little bit of a complex investment strategy, and one of them is a commercial property that we own, and we had a bunch of questions of how it fit into the overall strategy and what we were doing. And I was talking with Gino about it one morning, and he recommended that they had a person, I think her name was Megan. And so he basically said, we could set up an appointment for you. And he did. And again, very, very helpful. After giving her as much information as we could, she came back and provided us with a lot of different things to think about. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And different possibilities. Really helped us to clarify what we needed to do.
Gino, thanks for that answer, Chris. Gino, did you want to include anything in that as well?
Yeah, like Chris said, they've got a complicated structure. They're in great shape, but the structure includes a corporation. Their kids are shareholders. They've got spouses. So there are a lot of these loose ends that needed to be tightened up. And like Mike says, when Chris and Barb come into a meeting, they've got a big picture idea of what they want. We just want to make sure that we can do it tax efficiently and really focus in on some of the details where we can help. And where we were able to help was ask these questions, right? You've got children who are active in the corporation that are actually working at it and have an interest in growing it. And you've got more passive that are just generating income. And how do you treat them? Do you treat them equally? Do you give one more control? Speaking of control, you and Barb wanted to have that control. And yet you didn't need it in your retirement plan. And so as we go through that exercise, what we realized was the corporation is a totally separate entity. Structurally it is, but from your retirement plan, it's not needed for income. It's taken a different path now with the property ownership and so on, and an active management component. And so we really had to refocus the investment strategy in that corporation and address the needs of the new shareholders, the kids and their families. And so we gave it more of a growth orientation and moved it away from an income strategy. And that just really customized your overall estate plan. So it's the difference in, I always say, we all have a duty of care. And so we care about our clients, but then there's a caring factor where you have to drill down a little deeper and really get to the root of things and help you as much as we can. And I think, all of us have done a really good job of doing that. I say that, I hope you agree.
Well, may I say something? It also, when Mike and Gino came to our place, and one of our daughters was here as well, and she had a bunch of different questions, and we had a meeting with Gino, Mike, and her and us, and it was very good for her to talk with Gino so that she understood going forward, because she's going to be eventually the president of that corporation, and she had a bunch of questions, and it was good for her to hear and to discuss those things with Gino and Mike, so that she had it clear in her mind what their strategy was and what our strategy as a family, and how that could mesh together.
They're great concepts. So speaking about strategies, I'll turn it over to Mike. Mike, do you want to talk to us a little bit about some income planning protection ideas that you put forward with respect to Chris and Barb?
Sure. So, as Gino mentioned, that the evolution of their financial plan that was started years ago, it's not been an event. It's been an ongoing and evolving process, and that's what's been so great to work with Chris and Barb on. And when we put together and started implementing the financial plan as we made that transition for Chris and Barb from working to retirement, as Gino said, we were able to cordon off different assets. Right, certain assets are going to go towards managing for building an estate and a legacy, and certain assets are for Chris and Barb. And I was able to look at that as basically two separate and distinct entities, which was great. Having that clarity from Chris and Barb was fantastic. And, we had a focus on one side of how do we generate enough income and what's the best way to do this from the personal assets, so it was designated to that. But the other really unique thing was in terms of building this estate, there's some complexities there as well. Chris and Barb have 4 kids, one of them in a different country. It makes this estate and legacy planning a little more difficult and adds complexities in. And one of the things we looked at, of course, is an obvious solution for that, for a tax efficient manner to grow that legacy, is long-term permanent insurance in the form of an estate bond. And one of the great and unique things is that rather than looking at this as a product focus, what we did is we said, okay, Chris and Barb came to me and they said, we've got these policies in place. And rather than just saying, let's start from scratch and forget about those and let's do something new, we were able to work with what they already had in place. So what I'm really enjoying doing with them now is planning out how we kind of divide more traditional assets, such as what Gino's doing at Cumberland for Chris and Barb, with kind of a non-traditional asset in the form of an insurance policy, where we can make sure that these goals and making sure all kids get an equal share or the right or fair share based on their situations, and utilizing techniques such as this permanent insurance going forward. But again, because of our unique structure at CDSPI, we're incentivized to just do what's best for Chris and Barb. So we can use products they already have in place, even if they were set up elsewhere, and help them in that way to ensure that we're going to meet their goals. And as I said, Chris and Barb have thought this all out, and I'm glad that we can be there to put them at ease and say, yeah, what you're thinking does make sense, or find little ways to tweak it. And it's just been great to work with them, in a real collaborative process that I think is very unique, in that we really work together and they view it as a partnership. And they're just we have to be as vested as they are, because they are very vested in it. And it's just a fantastic experience to work with them. And I'm looking forward to this relationship as it continues to evolve and as their needs continue to change over the years.
Thanks, Mike. Chris and Barb, we've been indebted to you both with respect to the center of influence that you provide in the province of Manitoba, both to CDSPI and to Cumberland. We want to again say thank you for that. We really want to know what's giving you both that confidence to be a referral source for so many of your friends and colleagues.
Well, one of the things, do you want to say something?
Well, no, I guess the whole thing is that we found the people at CDSPI and Cumberland very easy to talk to, and caring and concerned as to what was going on with our situation. So it's always easier to deal with people like that.
The other thing that I was going to add to that was, I think that my impression of what the services that CDSPI had to offer definitely changed over the years. When I met Debbie and I found out a lot of the different services that we could get through them, not only through Cumberland, but through CDSPI, I was pleasantly surprised of what the scope of the services that they did have to offer to us, the profession. And I guess when I realized that, I was willing to share that with my colleagues. And a lot of times people go out and they pay for these services, and it's done by professionals or other people that don't necessarily have the same vested interest as CDSPI has in dentists. And I think that's important for my profession, is to have the confidence that we're going to CDSPI, that they used to always say, well, it says right on the background, exclusive for, but it was for dentists, by dentists. But I mean, it's more than that. It's just we have a CDSPI is it's an entity that we as dentists can reach out to as part of what, of our insurance,
And trust.
and trust them that they're going to be doing stuff that's in our best interest, not necessarily in the financial interest of the institution that you're dealing with.
Thank you both for that. And just to close that thought, we don't have any shareholders. So our accountability is to yourselves and the provincial dental associations that you're a member of. So we do know and value that unique relationship today and in the future. So a common theme that we've heard over and over again today is the point of preparedness, putting in the work. Chris and Barb, can you elaborate on that?
We're busy people, but I always felt that with the investment strategy of being able to have a dental corp and then having a holding company, and of course, as you know, the recent efforts by the federal government to change the taxation laws, I felt that there was more to it that we could do. And I mean, I set it up because I realized very quickly that the hard-earned money that we had over the years could act as a family legacy. So it's just, I guess, you have these different ideas or different thoughts and you wonder whether they're there, but I mean, you got to put them into place. You got to practice them. I mean, and you also, Barb's always asking me, did you check out the insurance thing? Did you check out how much we've got in there? Did you check all that stuff? So it's a matter of taking all the papers and all the things that we've got and reading through them and making sure that
We understand them.
we understand them. So, and if we have any questions, we do ask them, like this insurance policy of protecting, being able to take out a whole life insurance policy so that at your demise, your kids don't have to pay huge amounts of tax on the stuff there. I felt was a really, really important strategy. And a lot of dentists don't even know about that. And even in our holding company, to have an insurance policy within the holding company that's paid for by the holding company that stays within there, and it provides tax protection at your demise is a huge strategy that very few people know about. And when you talk to other dentists about that, they just look at you, what?
So, just when it comes to that, I think Chris is bang on there. That a lot of times, I think the key to implementing strategies like this is knowledge and making sure, like Chris said, you don't know what you don't know, and that's just where having a good collaborative relationship where we can draw on partners like Gino, we have insurance consultants we can draw on as well, and we can say, look, it's less worrying about the nuts and bolts, which Chris and Barb are fantastic at, right? I mean, they're already researching this stuff and know it before we know, but not everyone does. And that's not everyone's focus. And I would just say that, one of the benefits of an organization like us here at CDSPI is that you can come to us, some are going to be as prepared as Chris and Barb, or well, maybe not quite as prepared, but some are going to be prepared like Chris and Barb, but some are just going to have questions. And, the great thing is you come to us with those questions or things, ideas that you have, and we'll make sure that we bring in the right experts to implement and make sure that those questions are answered and those goals you have can be met through a wide variety of solutions. And, sometimes it's working with what you've already got. Sometimes it's in your best interest not to change things, not to start from scratch. Sometimes it is. And you can have the confidence that at CDSPI, we're going to give you the advice, like Chris said, that's for dentists, exclusively in their best interest. And I really like that structure. I mean, it's why I love working at CDSPI, and I think it's why we've got such a great collaborative relationship with Gino, because we're working in your best interest, and we're really kind of incentivized to do that. And I really appreciate the opportunity to do that and work with clients who, are so forward thinking, like Chris and Barb.
So I'll expand on that, if I may, as an observer, because what I've seen over time is advisors afraid to approach a client with insurance because it has this old stigma. As soon as, Chris, you made a good point. A lot of dentists don't even want to consider it because as soon as they hear insurance, they think a sales job, you're getting lots of commissions off of it, and no one wants to hear about it. But the CDSPI advisor, as I go through the country and work with each of them, from a financial planning standpoint, they know it's the right thing to position. They know they have to talk about it. They know it's not going to be an easy conversation. So rather than taking the path of least resistance, they're going to position it, but they're going to make you understand the reasoning. And so from our side, we're risk managers. And so we understand protecting your value through insurance. And they do a really good job of getting through it. That's why you've got it in place. That's why I see a lot of high net worth clients, dentists, incorporate it because it's positioned properly. And that threat of the sales job is gone. I think that's another benefit of working with a CDSPI advisor. Again, that's an observer looking from the outside in.
So Chris, what advice do you have for your peers transitioning from practicing to retiring?
Someone gave me the best piece of advice a long time ago, and I could offer this to anybody. And that is that I think long before you reach retirement, you have to develop things or search out things that are of interest to you. If it's travel, we did some traveling early on that we postponed because of the busyness of the practice. We moved out onto a little bit of an acreage of rural property because I always loved to garden. I do woodworking. I study languages. I'm on my fourth language now. There's lots of things that you can do, but you can't just stop practicing and waltz over into a whole and hope to waltz into another new life, because I think you'd be lost. You have to kind of prepare for it. And I think you have to dibble and dabble and find out what are the things that you enjoy doing. And then you have the time to pursue them without, and I'm not saying that I didn't love dentistry, because when I was working every day in the practice, I gave my heart and soul to it. But you also have to realize that there's other avenues that you can enjoy, and they're done not because you have to, but because you want to and you love to do that. And I'm always passionate about everything I do. So it just allowed me to have more time to do all those various things that I like to do.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things too is we really don't have the concerns about income. Like, that's all nicely been laid out for us. We don't have to worry about it. We know where we're going with this, and we're saying, maybe some people feel they need to continue working or something like this, but it's nice to know that, we can sit back now and do the things we want to do, and we have the funds to do it. So, I guess it kind of frees you up that way, as long as you've done the planning beforehand, so you can do that.
There are a lot of people, like I know even within my own family, that are concerned about doing things because they're held back by certain financial constraints. But if you plan properly and you realize that you know that every month there's an income coming in, and that all your basic needs and then some are taken care of, we can go traveling. We have the funds to do that. We have, if I want to go buy a board at the lumber yard, I'm not looking at the bank account, checking it out to see what's going on there. So I think that's important to have that peace of mind and to do that planning, so that when you arrive there, you're not counting pennies.
And you can spend your time doing the things you want to do.
Yeah, it frees you up. I think that not having to worry about that, and also to your health, maintaining your health is important too.
Thank you both.